Are there specific issues that you have now looked at and go, if I get elected, I'd like to kind of tackle these issues?
Yes, absolutely. One of them, and probably the one that I will stand firm on, is I really believe the trade program should come back to our schools. Um, I think that we need to set our kids up for success, especially in today's world. If they don't want to go to college, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Right.
I think that's probably a good thing because then they're not incurring debt that they're going to have forever. Let's steer them into something that they like to do because you know as well as I do, if I like to do it, I want to do it. I want to do it. And so you know, there's a million trades out there. We're not talking about just welding and electrical and plumbing, although those are great trades. But
Yeah.
the CDL drivers, there's hairdressers, there's EMTs, there's all sorts of things like that kids can get into that would help them. You become an EMT, then maybe someday you might become a cop, I don't know, or you might go on and get your nursing degree, or you might doctor or whatever.
Yeah.
It exposes you to things that you think you want to do, and that's awesome because you're going to find out whether you want to or not real
Yeah.
quick. So I also really believe that home ec and, and shop or mechanic should come back and be a required class for every kid in the high school for one semester. One semester of home ec and one semester of mechanics.
Yeah.
And I just think that we have generations of kids that
They can't even balance a checkbook.
they can't, and they like, oh, my tire's flat,
Easy stuff.
yeah, where do you fill the windshield washer at? I'm not talking about rebuilding an engine. I'm talking about the basic things to make your car go from A to B. You can figure it out.
Yeah.
So and sew a button on or boil water. Like I don't know, easy things. Balance a checkbook, and people say, well, why do they have to balance a checkbook for? You got a phone, well, that might not always run.
Right.
Might not always be there. So you never know. I have no idea.
Well, it's very interesting you bring up the trade because I'm sure Mike Rowe, the guy's got his foundation where that's all he's pushing is the trades, and he goes, look, I don't even know the number at this point. I think he's like 70,000 jobs to be filled.
Yeah.
And
It's
somebody's got to
crazy.
do it.
It's
Somebody's
crazy.
yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
And I look at it as you have this group of kids that get things because they don't have anything, and you have this group of kids that get everything because they're intelligent and smart and everybody gives them stuff. But then you have this group of kids, which lies basically the backbone of America.
Yep.
My parents' generations, my generations, my kids' generations, now my grandkids' generations. And my grandson just graduated from K-Tech up in Rathdrum, part of the Lakeland School District, but it's their trade program. And they have it's a beautiful facility up there. But he likes to build. He's building houses actually right now. He just graduated. He had his first 2 years of his apprenticeship done through K-Tech. He took his core classes in the morning, and then he went to K-Tech in the afternoon. You have to be a junior and a senior up there to do it. And it drew from both Coeur d'Alene high schools, Post Falls High School, Rathdrum, and Timberlake. So a pretty big drawing. But
Yeah.
they had a list of trades quite long, so but what better way for a kid, to get started? He's out of school. He's already got 2 years of his schooling done, and he's already got a job.
Yeah.
And he's building houses and learning how and working towards his journeyman's license to build houses. So I just don't see how any of that is bad. I just don't. And I had one voter say, well, I don't really think that our taxpayer dollar should pay for that. And I'm like, well, but why? I said, I'm interested to see why. Well, don't you think that the trade people should pay for that? And I said, well, okay, but if we set a kid up for success, or as much as we can, I mean, it's got to be a two-way street. They've got to want to do it also. But I said, aren't we making them a productive citizen in our society? Is that not better for our economy? Like, aren't those good things for us? We don't have a bunch of kids sitting around and not doing anything or wanting to be on SSI for no reason. Like this, come on, you guys. So, and I said to him, so, well, should we let them go to school to be, to try and encourage them to be lawyers or doctors or dentists? What's the difference? Yeah, those are big eye in the pie jobs, but rocket scientist, I don't know what's the difference. We should set every kid up for success that we can.
Yeah.
And so I'm firm believer that needs to be back in our schools, and way more than what it is.
Yeah.
So way more than what it is. And I know legislation can help with that.
Yeah.
So the other thing, I really believe that a lot common sense, things like, our lunch programs for our kids during the summer. I know that's just one minor thing. But those things shouldn't go away. They just should not go away when, we are making crazy bills out there about cannibalism, and yet you're taking the lunch program. I mean, those two things are not, they don't even on the same boat
Of importance.
me. Yeah, no, not at all. So, I learned today something else. It's amazing what you learn when you go places and listen to people. Good leader will listen. They listen and they take in everything that's in. You try to make a good decision. You also, a good leader, asks the people that actually do the job, how does this work? Instead of me at legislation level, or me even as the chief of police, I would never just, we're going to do this from now on. I would always say, hey, you guys, what do you guys think about this? Like, do you think this will work? Do you think this won't work? What do you guys think? And I would always get their input into why they thought it wouldn't work or why they thought it would work, and then make the decision what's best. So I feel the same way about legislation. If we're making rules about the teachers, let's just say teachers, since we're on the school thing, I don't believe that me sitting at, and even though I did teach at the academy, but that's different. That's not teaching kids, that's teaching adults. And I really believe that I should ask the teachers that actually teach what works and what don't work and why. Tell me what would work then. Like, give them, like, you care about them. You want their job to be easier. You want to give them the tools and the funding to do what they need to do. Because why? They're educating our youth, is what they're, our next generation. So let's help them instead of hinder them. So I really believe that you need to do that. But I found out today that the firefighters are down around Elk River. And a lady came over. She was fairly hot at my booth. And I'm like, what, just introduced myself. And she says, what do you think about the firefighters that don't have enough time in, that they don't get fed? And I looked at her and I went, what? Like, no, I don't care if you've been there an hour. Like, you get fed. You're trying to save our forest or whatever. What are you talking about? She goes, oh no. She goes, some of these firefighters haven't been on the firefighting crew long enough to get their meal paid for, to get fed. They have to bring their own food. I go, what? No.
And you're talking about forest fires. So these guys are
forest fires, and I saw them all there today too. So I knew she was telling me that, the truth. And then someone else said something about it. I'm like, what? And she said, yeah, those guys over there, pointing at the other booth over there, said, oh, it's just a policy. Well, policy, we need to change that policy. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't care if you've been on there a half hour, you get fed because you're. But see, again, we're making rules that just don't have in my opinion, there's no common sense to it. So, zero. So.
Okay, so if you're doing, I'm going to ask you this, and maybe there isn't an answer to this, but if you're doing this all by yourself and people wanted to help you, How would they reach out to you? Do you have a website? Do you have anything like that?
Yes, I do. I
Okay.
have a website and I have a Facebook page.
Okay,
So
I'm gonna for the audience, I'm gonna put it in the description so you'll find her Facebook and website there.